Well, is AI destroying creative thinking? To talk about that, I'm joined by Tony Martignetti. He is Chief Illumination Officer at Inspired Purpose Partners. Tony, thank you so much for doing this.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here. So thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, this is like an area that I have put a lot of thought into lately because I see AI everywhere and it's kind of bleak sometimes, but we can come
Mm.
back to that. First, tell me about your background and how you ended up doing this kind of work.
Yeah, thank you for asking this. My background came from a very different and diverse journey. It started from being an artist at heart, and then journeying into the world of being in biotech for most of my career. So I spent about 25 years working in the finance and strategy side of the house of biotech. Did some amazing things on that journey. Also started a consulting firm working in that space, helping biotechs to raise money, do deals, and all sorts of things. But then realized that that wasn't what really lit me up. I wasn't feeling the fulfillment that I really wanted in my life. So about 8 years ago, I made the leap to say, what's the next chapter I wanted to open? And that's what got me into the work I do today, which is really all about helping people to access parts of themselves that they don't normally access, and that's really through the using creativity and finding the parts that really have been sidelined along the way. And so that is really the gift that I get to share with others and to really unlock their gifts along the way.
That's interesting. So you go into organizations and you work with leaders on this?
Yeah, leaders and teams. So the key thing is it's not just an individual endeavor. It's really seeing it as, bringing people together so that they can collectively unlock that element of creativity, but also know that it's not just creativity alone. It's also finding that sense of connection through exploration of themselves.
Well, I'm impressed that anyone even realizes this is something that's worth doing. I mean that honestly. I did a presentation the other day because I speak on workplace issues and I was
Mhm.
talking about the soft skills we need, including creativity, resilience, all of that. And somebody said, "Well, how many of these skills can be learned?" And in my opinion, all of them. I don't know what your opinion.
Yes, I mean, we all have ingrained biases to certain things. Like, we love certain, have passions for areas that we like, but everything can be learned. We just have to have a desire to want to learn them. If you're coming in kicking and screaming and you're not going to be wanting to do that thing, that's the hard part. So you need to have the ability and the desire to learn.
And almost the flip side of that is deciding you're going to use AI to do everything in your organization.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's talk about how prevalent this is because it's everywhere, right? You open
yeah.
LinkedIn or really anything, and you see these horrible AI generated writing blocks.
Yes, yeah. And I don't want to be like anti-AI. I mean, AI
No,
is
I'm
such
not
a
either. Yeah.
wonderful tool, and I think it's great. It's actually created a wonderful gift for us, a tool. But the key word is it's something for us to use along with us. And I think that's the one thing that, a lot of people have like gone there as the starting point. It has to be something we bring our brilliance to it. Someone said to me last night at dinner, I was at a dinner event with some founders, and someone said it should be called our intelligence, not artificial intelligence, because
Interesting.
yeah, it's the starting point is us. It is us. But then what it does is it takes us and it puts us on, to lack of a better word, on steroids. It gives us that boost and allows us to access so much of our intelligence. But you have to start with us. Yeah.
Well, let's remind ourselves what AI is, right? We take it for
Yeah.
granted now, but it's sort of the collective product of what we've done up to now, right? There's nothing
Yeah.
extra. It's where we're taking everything and we're repackaging it. Let's talk about the cost of doing that.
Yeah, I mean, what you put in is what you get out, right? You think about a system, any system, human, biological, or anything else, it's going to take the inputs and it's going to give you the outputs. So the better you feed the system, the better it's going to be healthy. It's going to have a more regenerative system. And so I think that's the thing that we sometimes miss about the way we look at these systems is that we need to treat it well. We need to be good to ourselves and be good to, feeding it with good, positive information and know that if we keep on just regurgitating the same stuff coming out, we're not and not giving it new information or new imagining new things, then it's going to be hard for us to see where it could take us.
Well,
And
I
I
think
think
that's,
that's big.
yeah, that's, I mean, I look at organizations and I said, well, okay, they're all making it happen and they're being efficient and they're keeping some costs down. But how do you
Yeah.
differentiate the ones that are doing it well,
Yeah.
putting out new products?
Yeah, I mean, I think the ones that are doing it well are not trying to replace humans with AI. Instead, what they're doing is they're augmenting humans with it. And I don't mean that in a negative sense. What I mean by that is saying like, how can we take these employees, especially some of the younger employees? We can't just take the front line or the new fresh students coming out of school and bring them into the workforce. How do we say, here's a tool you can use. Don't replace yourself with it. Use it to amplify yourself. And I think that's the thing that becomes more powerful, because otherwise what happens is we start dumbing ourselves down. And I think that's really the concern a lot of us have, is that we start using it as a crutch and just putting in the inputs as, give me the answer, give me the answer, give me the answer. But we need to struggle a little bit too, right? We need to remember that writing having a blank page is a beautiful thing, and allowing yourself to have that blank page and say, what do I want to create today? And then AI can come in and help to amplify whatever you put on that blank page.
I want to get back to the creativity part of this because I
Yeah.
know you put a lot of thought into this. You have a book coming out on this, correct?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Well, tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah. So the new book is called Illuminating Hidden Brilliance, and it's coming out in the fall, but it's available for pre-order now. And the whole concept is how do we show up as people in the world right now when we have these amazing tools? It's really about accessing parts of ourselves that have been sidelined along the way because we've played to our titles. We've played to these narrow versions of who we are. And it's not our fault. I mean, it's kind of the way the world has been wired. We've structured workplaces and titles around our roles and saying, you're in finance or you're in marketing, and therefore do the role that we've given you. But now, with the advent of these amazing tools, now we need to think, how do I bring the yes and to the table? How do I bring maybe the artists and the finance person into the room? How does that creativity then unlock something bigger? There's a concept of the T-shaped employee, or the T-shaped model for leaders, where you have this ability to go across and down in terms of deep and narrow. Deep and broad.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we need to revisit, because we need to make sure we have a lot more broad and some deepness along the way, but not as deep as we used to go. So we don't need a lot of specialists. We need a lot more broadness, but also some depth that allows us to understand areas enough to be able to see what's going on.
If you're enjoying this conversation and want to bring insights like these to your next event, visit lindanazareth.com to book Linda Nazareth as your keynote speaker. Linda is an economist and futurist, and she is a dynamic and experienced speaker who has presented to audiences across a broad range of industries on the megatrends shaping the economy and the future of work. That's lindanazareth.com, or send an email to speaking@lindanazareth.com.
So if
And
you are a leader, what are the
mm,
things you want to do to create an environment where people do think a little bit, not just rely on these tools?
Yeah. So first of all, it's listen to who's in the room and ask them, what is something that you've sidelined along the way? What are some things that you've done outside of your role that you'd like to bring in? Because we're going to listen to what's possible when you bring the poet into the room and expand that aperture of who you are. Or maybe it's being a gamer, or even something even more profound. One of the things that that I've seen in the identities that people have shared with me is coming from another country, being an immigrant or being from another place. There's a lot of qualities that people can bring to the table when they share those elements of their journey and the identities that they've had along the way that can make them a different type of employee, an employee who can bring a broader perspective on their role because they may see things from a different angle. So when you know that as a leader and you're actually able to really tap into that, big things happen. And it's not just about one person, it's about really collectively seeing the team and the broadness of their skill sets and their abilities that really amplifies the impact you can have.
If you're
Does that make sense?
hiring to make the most of the tools and bring your organization forward, what are the characteristics you'd suggest leaders look for in the workers they're bringing in? And I'm asking this
Yeah.
question, assuming they even look for characteristics, because half the time they're only looking for specific skills.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one of the questions I always ask, and I think it's one of those questions that leaders should be asking in some variation of this, is that when was the last time you felt most alive? That sense of aliveness is it. Hopefully, it's not just going to be something like, well, last time I was looking at a spreadsheet, or last time I was doing X,
Presumably
Y,
not.
Z.
Yeah.
And it's not to say there's anything wrong with that. It's just you want to see, like them sharing a part of themselves that they don't typically share in a job interview, so that you can hear them say things like, I climb mountains, or, hey, I feel alive when I'm dancing, or things like that, because those things give you a sense of who this person really is beyond sitting at a desk. And I say aliveness because I think that's something I'm going to lean into a little bit. I think that's what we need more of in the workplace. We don't need robots. We've got plenty. We're going to have robots. Don't worry about that. But what we need humans who feel alive in their work, because creativity comes from that aliveness. And I think that's what this element of broadening and integrating parts of ourselves is going to bring, is a sense of aliveness that will give us more ideas, more connection amongst the employees that are there.
You've also written about the need for friction, and you alluded to this
Mm.
earlier. What does that mean in terms of creating ideas?
Yes. I mean, the biggest thing, sorry, I got a little glare here from my window. Sorry. We have a need for friction because ultimately, if we're all agreeing to the same things over and over again, there's never going to be new ideas. We're just going to, it's like with AI. I'll just, using AI as a great example of friction. If right now the models that we play with, there's often this sense of like, oh, you're great. You put in the answer and it's like, oh, that was a great answer. Let me, kind of like expound on that and keep on going. What we need some disagreement. We need to challenge our thinking, not just give us the same old answers, just like we do with humans. When we have a team of people who think differently and have different perspectives, and we know that they do, we need to ask them to give me the contrarian view, because that's going to give us better answers overall. It sharpens our thinking. One of the best things I tell my clients is I tell them, like, if you feel like you're stuck on something, go have a conversation with somebody who's from a completely different place, coming from a completely different angle. If you're, one of the best things you can do, and I just was reading Austin Kleon's new book about art. It's beautiful. He's like, have a conversation with a child, because the child is uninhibited. They don't really have any filters around what's possible. And I think that's the best thing you can do. Sometimes kids can give you the best answers because they don't care. They're just, ready to give you the unfiltered answer.
So where would you say we are in this process? Because AI is being embraced, right? 2026 is the year that everybody dives into this and the whole organization is using it. However, I'm starting to hear the regrets, the fact that this is AI slop and we have to fix, some of the things that have been done. Where do you think we're going to be in a year, little in 5 years, but like 1 year from now?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be a separation between the slop and the novelty, and I think we're going to have a real premium on novelty. People will be able to know the difference between, I mean, within some reason, and I don't think there will be people who say, yes, I totally, can feel the sloppiness of that. And then there's some people who will be like, I can't really tell the difference. But then there's going to be a premium on really knowing that you're getting the real deal. This is something original, heartfelt, and coming through like you could just cut through the noise. And so I think that's what we're going to start seeing more and more of. I think we're already seeing that. And I think that's the premium people are going to put on that. Things that are real and coming from the human and coming from the heart, even if there's some element of a little bit of AI, elements in it, you can still see that there's going to be a strong sense of humanity in it. That's what we're going to crave. And there's also going to be a push, and this is what I'm, feeling a real sense of for myself, is to be more in real life. That's why, workplaces are not going to go away. We're going to still want to be in person. We're going to still want to be in community with each other. So the more in real life experiences we can get, there's going to be a premium on that too. We're going to crave those connections.
Interesting times, Tony. Thank you so much for talking to me today.
Of course, this is wonderful. Thank you for your wonderful questions.
Tony Martignetti is Chief Illumination Officer at Inspired Purpose Partners. Thanks for listening to Work in the Future. If today's episode sparked ideas for your organization, reach out. I would love to help you shape the future of work at your next event. To discuss your event and book me as a speaker or moderator, please visit lindanazareth.com or email speaking@lindanazareth.com. You can also visit me on Instagram at Linda Nazareth Keynote Speaker and send me a direct message there. If you did like this discussion about the future of work, please remember to subscribe to the podcast. Also, your reviews really help people to find us, so please make sure you take time to leave one wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks so much for listening. And as always, thank you to Stokely Audio for audio production.